Oh, I really can't watch this. This is fucked up. Wow, okay, big difference here. The old in out. In out. I did not imagine it to be like this.
Yo, what's up? Eazy Eeb here, and welcome to the first episode of Bookworm Reacts. And today I'm going to be reacting to A Clockwork Orange, which is a movie I haven't seen before because I've been saving it. I've been saving it because I wanted to read the book first, which I just read. I have it right there, my version of it. And yeah, I'm going to give kind of my summary and my thoughts on the book, and then we'll jump straight into the reaction. And right after the reaction, I'll talk about the differences I noticed between the book and the movie, and then I'll give a little bit of my thoughts on the movie and the story as a whole, and kind of my analysis on the Clockwork Orange story. So yeah, let's just get right to it. Here we go. So before I get into the reaction video for the movie, I kind of want to give my thoughts a little bit about the book. So I had just finished reading the book, this book right here. So this is my version of the book. I thought it was a very interesting read. I really loved it, particularly because of the narrator, your humble narrator, as he calls himself, Alex. Alex is a teenager, I think he's 15, 16 years old, and him and his gang of 3 other buddies, they basically commit the most heinous of crimes for the first third of the whole book. So this book is separated into 3 sections. The first third is his life as a teenager. I think this is a dystopian version, if I'm not mistaken, of London. And they are basically committing various crimes, including murder, theft, rape, drugs, and assault. Basically everything that's only imaginable by the most psychopathic of minds. And through Alex, we see the depravity of youth in this world, and it's to the point where even his own parents seems to be afraid of him, and they kind of turn a blind eye to the things they know he's been doing at night with his friends, until of course he gets arrested. So spoiler alert, he does get arrested for the second third of the film, and that's when we see his life in prison, and then how he gets out of prison is by accepting this kind of new science where they reform these hardened violent criminals like Alex and basically brainwash them through forcing them to watch these crazy movies and making him associated with pain. And he also, while they play those movies, they like to play, classical music, which is Alex's favorite type of music, by the way. And all of these sorts of things where crime, violence, and that used to bring him pleasure now brings him pain, to the point where it's not that they're brainwashing him where he now wants to make the right choices, it's that he can't make the wrong choices. Even when he gets out of prison and he has these urges to commit violence because that's what he wants to do. Right from the beginning, as soon as he gets out of prison, he just wants to go and commit violence, murder, and rape, and all that shit. And he can't. Every time he even thinks about it, it makes him sick. It makes him want to puke. It tortures him. So that is where the most interesting part of the book came in for me. That whole discussion about free will. And it's interesting because when you take away someone's free will, the book argues, and like the chaplain in the book, and also what's that guy's name, the dissident, the political dissident, they explain to Alex that by taking away his free will, they have made him less than human. He's no longer human because he no longer has the freedom of choice. Now, is that ethical on its own at the surface? Yeah, it's unethical to take away someone's freedom of choice. But the question is, when it's for the greater good of society, because we know from the beginning, we're going through this life through Alex's perspective, and we can tell from the way he behaves, the way he talks, that he will never ever, it seems, reform, at least as a youth. And when you take away someone's free will, but when you do that, you're making sure the whole community and the whole world is a safer place, is it really unethical? And that is sort of the question that I want to talk about after the reaction to the movie. I haven't seen the movie before, and I don't know the differences between the book and the film, but I did read in the book, there's a preface by the author. He says that in the film by Stanley Kubrick, he did not include the final chapter of the book. Anyway, I digress. Let's go watch the film and react to it, and after that, we will discuss a little bit more about the themes and compare the book and the film and see if there's any difference, not just in the events that occur, but also thematically. Or are they pretty similar and they kind of have the same thesis statement? Let's find out.
All right. 1971, wow. 8 years after my mom was born. But I don't doubt Stanley. My boy Stanley Kubrick. Let's get it. I've seen 2001 and Odyssey, and Shining. Those are the only two other Stanley Kubrick movies I've seen, but I love both of them. I've been waiting to watch this. Ooh. Oh, this must be Alex. My droog. Yo, I don't know, man. I feel like there's no way they show all of the things that happened in the book. Okay, which one is dim? Which one is dim? Ooh, the music is very Shining-esque. That's gotta be dim right there. To his right, on the left. They're drinking the Malocos. Yo, what the fuck is up with these tables? Maloco! Yo. That is some savagery of tables. My three droogs. Yo, the thing about it is, I wonder how they'll deal with NADSAT, because it's so hard to read the book because of the NADSAT. I really had to look up the words at the beginning, at least. Ultra violence. Oh my god. Not the Lana Del Rey album, that's for sure. Oh, it's this guy. The guy singing.
So pretty. Cutter me, brothers.
That's fucked up.
Go on, do me in your bastard.
This happened.
We don't want to live anyway.
He said, kill me.
Stinking water like this.
Young versus old, yeah. Young versus old is a very, very prominent motif or theme. Yeah, that's straight from the book. These guys, man. That's crazy. No, the chain, yo, Dim's chain. Even Dim's chain. They even kept that. No. They skipped right to this? This must be the old in-out. In-out. Oh, this is the other gang. Yeah, the other gang. The other gang was assaulting another woman.
And his four droogs.
Billy.
They were getting ready to perform a little of the old
in-out.
On a weepy young Divochka they had.
Oh, that's fucked up. Yep, I'm censoring this. This has to be censored for YouTube, or it'll get blocked. No warning. Yo, this is I don't know, man. I really can't watch this. This is fucked up. What's up with the music? Why is it so like happy-go-lucky? No way this shit flies anymore in today's movies. This is a very long scene. I think they've proved the point. It's different, man, because you read it. Let's just see it.
Come and get one in the yarbos.
The height of fashion is what they like to call the things they wear. He's got a switchblade. Alex has a switchblade. I mean a razor. Oh my god. Damn. I did not imagine it to be like this. Oh, they fucked them up. Oh, they're here at the dissident's house. I forget his last name. Shit. So far, it's pretty faithful to the book. I think they skipped a few scenes, you know, skipped a few chapters. Not a few chapters, but a few scenes.
What else could that be?
Yeah, this is not gonna be a good scene.
I'll go and see.
It's crazy to see, like, I don't know if this is supposed to be just this universe, I guess, or this is like their view of the near future in 71.
Yes? Who is it?
Life and death.
This is exactly what
Who is it,
happened.
dear?
Yeah, they're wearing masks. They're crazy, man. It's hard to feel bad to what happens to Alex, like, as I remember reading the first third of the book, and they're just like so fucked up. And watching it, it's fucked up. Ooh. It's hard watching it, man. It's like, you know how what happens later, he is forced to watch those crazy movies, those violent movies. It's like I'm watching it right now. Dim is such a fucking dummy. Wow, they're really leaving nothing to the imagination, huh? I don't think he was singing though when this was happening. When this was happening in the book. Thank God they at least cut it there. Jeez. Oh, my brothers.
Stopped off at the Corova for a nightcap.
What the fuck? I don't remember. This is how they got their milk.
From the tea.
This happened.
For a moment, oh my brothers. And
comport yourself public-wise,
He does.
my brother.
I thought in the book he punches him, but I wonder.
I do
Maybe
like
I'm
you
thinking
should
of a
do what you've
different.
done,
Yeah, he does say that.
and I'm not your brother no more and wouldn't want to be.
Yeah,
Bed ways is right ways now,
bedways.
so best we go home ways and get a bit of spatchka.
If you didn't read the book, would you understand what they're saying
was
with their
my
lingo?
dad
I mean,
in
maybe if
municipal
you
flat block 18A, Linear
were
North.
English, it may be easier. But if English is your second language, or even if you're like American, it might be a bit hard. Oh, look at the fucking graffiti. Busted elevator. Oh, look at all the shit he just stole. What the fuck is up with the poster on the wall? What the hell? Was this in the book?
Was a bit
Ludwig
of the
van.
old Ludwig van.
Oh, cassettes. Mini cassettes. Oh my god, seriously. This is what he's imagining. Is that his mom?
Alex,
That's gotta be his dad. It's
he's
a
not
weird
feeling too good again this morning, Dad.
Yes, I had.
The aesthetics of the apartment is different than I imagined.
No, I don't.
It's a lot more colorful
Take
in this
sleepers.
movie. I think it's more so because they're trying to make it, you know, more futuristic, I guess. Or maybe that's just the style at the time in the 70s.
Well,
I imagined it
Like he
being a bit
says,
more bland
it's mostly odd things he does.
and run down a little bit.
Helping, like, here and there as it might be.
This one, it's like ultra tacky. I guess it's the same sort of feeling. Makes for better pictures. Who was that? Who was that in the room? Oh, it's that guy. I forgot his parole officer.
Hi, Mr. Deltoid.
Hmm,
Funny surprise seeing
his
you
parole
here.
officer.
Alec, boy.
You should be clear by
Brother,
this
sir.
Oh,
Oh, certainly by this evening.
A bit over the top than I imagined, Mr.
The
Deltoid.
innocence of nothing.
I imagined him to be more like...
Sir,
He speaks the same way that I imagined, but...
Just because the police haven't picked you up lately.
I feel like he had glasses in the book. Yeah, I imagine him as being a bit more reserved. Yeah, we don't see the old ladies that they bribe to give their alibis. What the fuck? Why is he drinking water with teeth in it? He's due. He's due to be arrested. Ah, yeah, he does say that.
To keep your handsome young proboscis out of the dirt.
Oh, he didn't realize it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. He's kind of like Mr. Deltoid's kind of being played for laughs in the movie. But I guess it is supposed to be, you know, like satirical. Dressed in the height of fashion. So this is the record shop, his favorite store. I guess it's not just a record shop. It also sells books and magazines. And there's gotta be a listening section. Oh!
Excuse me, brother. I ordered this 2 weeks ago. Can you see if it's arrived yet, please?
There's no way. So in the book, there's a scene where he basically, he's supposed to be a teenager, and he brings home these two, basically 10-year-olds to 11-year-olds. No way that, so I guess in this case, they're not, because I don't think they are even, that would be fucked up if they had pedophilia in this movie, so thank God it's not that, but I feel like it's still gonna be fucked up what he does here.
Pardon me, ladies. Come with Uncle.
Portable players.
Hear angel trumpets and devil trombones. You are invited.
He does call himself Uncle though, which is a reference, I think, to the book. Oh, it's all fast forwarded. So in the book, he drugs the girls, and they're supposed to be very young, and he rapes them while they're drugged. This one is just, he has sex with them. Threesome. Which, I guess if it's consensual, what the fuck is he doing? They're wearing their clothes, and then he takes them back off. By the way, I blocked the whole scene because I'm not trying to get this video blocked. That it's like it's not as bad as pedophilia, but it's still pretty fucking disturbing. But they don't show you or tell you if it's consensual or not, or if the women are drugged, but it is in fast forward motion, and fast forward motion in other movies, they seem to imply that, you know, they're on some sort of substance, at least in like Requiem for a Dream or something. Ah, here we go. This is it. That's got to be George.
You had not turned up.
It's weird that they're all wearing jock straps outside of their pants.
Happy Polylodges.
Happy Polylodges.
I had some
Apologies.
pain in the Gulliver, so I had to sleep. I was not awakened when I gave
Gulliver's
orders to
head.
wake me.
You sure you're not be happy about in bed?
Let's get things nice and
I like what Kubrick has done with the blocking, and how
if I may
just their positioning says a lot of the dynamic. Whereas in the book, you kind of have to read about
what goes on,
what's going on. You don't really see what's going on.
What does that great big horsey gape of a grin portend?
Right, no more picking on Dim, brother.
Or maybe I just don't
That's part
remember.
of the new way.
But the dialogue is almost exactly the same.
Coming out with a pitiful rooker full of money each. And there's Will the English in the money.
Now tell me what you had in mind, George.
It's funny that he's the leader because he's the youngest, actually. Oh man! All right. I remember what happens. Oh.
As we walked along the flat block marina,
Okay,
I was
that's
calm
weird.
on the outside,
Because in the book,
time.
he kind of lets
So
them
now it
lead.
was Georgie the General
And
saying what we should do and what not to do.
okay, no, it's
Suddenly I
happening.
viddied that thinking was for the gloopy
Yeah,
ones,
no, it's happening
and that
here.
the
It's
omni
happening here.
ones used-
Yeah, because he was
There a
triggered by
window
the
open
music.
with a stereo on it,
He was triggered by some
and I
classical
figured
music,
right at
and
once
it
what to do.
made him very. Yep. Yep. So in the movie, his weapon is a stick, but in the book, his weapon is a razor, if I'm not mistaken. And he actually cuts the hand of Georgie, I think, here. Oh, so he does have a knife. Pete just runs away. Oh, it's dim. He cuts the hand up.
Isolated.
Oh, the cats. What's up with
It's
the
so
fucking
easily
art
very rich
pieces?
Petitzer who lives there with her cats. The place is shut down for a
I can't
week.
even
She's
show this
completely
shit.
on her own.
Tell me more,
So,
Georgie
in
boy.
case I have to
Tell
block
me
this whole
more.
screen, it's the old lady with all the cats. And she's doing yoga in the middle of the floor.
Oh, shit.
Hi there. At last we meet.
So he didn't
Our brief
go open the front door
gold-ring
like
through the
he's
was not,
just
shall
like in
we
the
say,
book.
Satisfactory? Yes.
Big bug! I'll teach you to break into real people's houses! You fucking little...
So I think the penis statue is added to this. He attacks her in the book. Oh no. I think she finds out he's in the house and something like this does happen. But the cats attack him as well. But the cats don't attack him here. Which of course, would be hard to do. Have the cats attack him. Oh, he kills her with that. Oh, okay. In the book, he kills her with the bust, not with the penis statue. The cats are just sitting around. Here we go. Has to be the same. Maybe he has a milk bottle, not the chain.
Come on, let's go. The plates are coming. 1 minute, Doogie.
It's more practical to use a milk bottle than, whipping the chain at his face.
My little brothers, I won't say a single solitary slogan unless I have my lawyer here. I know the law, you bastards.
Your brothers? They forced me to do it. I'm innocent.
I'm innocent.
If you'd care to give him a bash on the chops, sir, don't mind us. We'll hold him down.
Just like in the
Must be a
show.
great
I
disappointment
mean the
to
book.
you.
He's gonna punch him too. Oh, he spit on him. Oh yeah. Oh, prison life. So there's the first third of the book.
This is the real weepy and tragic part. That's her only child. And
Bog
son
is
of her
God,
bosom,
pursuit next
by letting
prisoners.
everybody down, real horror show.
Boo hoo hooing is crying.
White with blue waistband.
Are you now? Or have you ever been a homosexual? No, sir. Right.
Well, why did he look at his dick when he said that? Oh hell no.
Any venereal disease? No, sir.
Ah, it's the
Is
chaplain.
it going to be in and out of institutions like this? Though more in than out for most of you. Well, I ask you, what is
The
it worth?
book?
When we have undeniable proof, yes, incontrovertible evidence, that hell,
I know that is.
I have been
But that doesn't happen here in the church.
that there is a place darker than
in the book.
any prison.
Pretty sure Alex is in charge of the
Don't you laugh,
music,
damn you,
I
don't
think,
you
if
laugh.
I'm not mistaken.
In
You guys remember
any
projectors? Oh my gosh. When I was in when back in elementary school we used projectors. That's crazy.
In their screaming guts.
Oh, that's what he's doing. Okay, okay. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was like this in the book. I knew he had something to do with the songs. He does read the Bible in this, and he loves the violent parts. That's why he likes the Bible. Not because of the message or anything, but because of the violence.
I read all about the scourging and the crowning with thorns, and I could video myself helping in and even taking charge of the toll-chocking and the nailing in.
That's
being
crazy.
Dressed in the height of Roman fashion.
The height of Roman fashion.
Fighting in the old in-out. I like the parts where these old Yehudis toll-chock each other and then drink their Hebrew vino.
That's crazy.
Getting onto the bed with their wives' handmaidens. That kept me going.
With their wives' handmaidens. He's imagining himself with a bunch of concubines.
Neither desire to be with them.
Not exactly what you should take from reading the Bible.
Speak decease.
If thou lose hope.
I take it you are referring to the Ludovico technique.
Don't know what
That's what it's called,
Father.
the Ludovico technique.
All I know that it one act of goodness.
Question is,
That's not his real
whether or not
motivation,
this
though.
technique
He just wants to
really
get out,
makes a man
to start to be
good.
bad again.
Goodness comes from within. Goodness is chosen.
The choice
But a
of
man
goodness.
cannot choose.
This must be the Ministry of Interior or Inferior and Inferior.
What crime did you commit?
The accidental killing of a person, sir.
He brutally
Accidental.
in furtherance of theft. 14 years. Sir!
The next morning I was taken to the Ludovico Medical Facility outside the town centre. And I felt a malanky bit sad having to say goodbye to the old starger, as you always will when you leave a place you've got used to.
Right,
He's leaving prison already? Okay, so in the book, there's a part where he's in the cells, and when he gets in the cells, they're crammed up. There's 3 beds, 6 people, and they put a 7th person in there, and one of them is attracted to him, kind of like that guy in the church just now. And what happens is he attacks him back because he was being assaulted by that guy, and all his cellmates attack that guy until he dies. So that part is completely omitted from the
I wondered
movie.
if you'd mind signing these transfer documents, sir.
Good. I like to video the old films now and again.
Did they call them films in the book?
And video films I would. Where I was taken to, brothers, was like no cine I ever videoed before. I was bound up in a straitjacket.
Oh
and
my
the gulliver was
gosh.
strapped to a headrest with
That's
like wires running away
crazy.
from
The
it.
actor actually had to put
Then
that
they
shit in his
clamped
eye?
like lid locks on the eyes, so
Lid
that I could not
locks?
shut them, no matter how hard I
That's
tried.
insane.
It seemed a bit crazy to me, but I let them get on with what they wanted to get on with. If
Yeah,
I was
your
to be
eyes
a
would
free young
dry
Malchik
up.
again in a fortnight's time, I would put up with much in the meantime, oh my brothers.
It's pretty close to what I imagined. I didn't think they would actually put him in a real theater. For some reason, I didn't think... I kind of imagined it with no other seats. But it's pretty much the same. Other than that. Oh,
And then what do you know?
they're putting in
Soon our
droplets.
dear old friend, the red vino on tap.
Red vino.
It's
I think
funny
there's
how
a
the
different
colours of the
word
real
for...
world only seem really real when you video them on a screen.
It's they don't call it that in the book. There's a word for blood.
Right away on a young Devotchka, who was being given the old in-out. First by one Malchik, then another, then another.
Get me up. I want to be sick. Leave me glasses.
The violence he sees.
Leave me glasses.
Dr. Brodsky is pleased with you.
Need glasses,
You've
my
made a
eyes.
very
Oh yeah, they did show. So the movies that they show are very accurate. There's the violent one, the rape one, And now it's the Nazi one, the World War II. It's gonna be some, if I'm not mistaken, some concentration camp violence, war violence.
Sickness, what music it was that like cracked and boomed. It was Ludwig van. Ninth Symphony, fourth movement.
His favorite song. He's mad about the music.
I'm sorry, Alex. This is for your own good.
See, they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to play Beethoven.
It's wrong because it's like against society. It's wrong because everybody has the right to live and be happy without being told chopped.
He said it's wrong because it's against society, which is word for word what it says in the book.
Less than a fortnight now, you will be a free man.
But see, reform in their eyes isn't making someone understand what's wrong. It's literally making them have no choice but to do not wrong, you know? They cannot do any wrong or they'll just get sick. It's the association. Here it is. He's done.
This pledge is now about to become a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, today is an historic moment.
But the thing about this, the government also has ulterior motives. They want to take away their focus on these common criminals and start
Speak louder than
arresting political dissidents.
Lick it.
This dude loves this.
And oh my brothers, would you believe your faithful friend and long-suffering narrator pushed out his red yazzik a mile and a half to lick the Grasny Ronnie boots?
And again.
The horrible...
So they brought out naked women to see if Alex tries to do anything to her. This dude, he's like, what the fuck?
He came towards me, the floor with the
Yeah, you
old
see?
in out.
He actually still wants to do it, he just can't physically do it because he gets sick. That's different than, you know, restraining yourself from doing it because you choose to. You already bowed, leave. But that one was more convincing than the other one. Because the other one, getting beat up, you could just, you know, just be disciplined. But you could tell, this one, Alex, couldn't even fake it.
Did I do well, sir?
Padre, these are subtleties. We're not concerned with motives. With
Subtleties.
we are concerned only with cutting down crime.
Stanley Kubrick likes putting naked women on the walls. I remember in the Shining, in the kitchen guy, is it the chef? When he was in his room, there's a naked lady on the wall as well. He's on every paper. Oh, this is different because in the book they don't know that he got out. They didn't read the paper yet. But here they see in the paper that he's just come out.
How are you then? How are you?
But I guess the result wouldn't really be different because
This would be like a big surprise for you and Pete.
whether they know he's coming back or not, once they get the paper, yeah, it's still the same thing because they won't have room for him.
Not that we're not very pleased to see you again. I'm completely reformed.
Completely reformed.
Then like a lodger.
Don't go fighting me, boys.
He can't do it.
Where's my snake?
I don't think he has a snake in the book, unless I completely missed it. But what it was is his stereo. He was concerned about his stereo, and he was concerned about his records, which they said they had to sell to reimburse to feed the cats of the lady he murdered. It's hard to feel bad for Alex. Because when you see the things he's done, it's different than when you read the things he's done. When reading the book, you're in his perspective, so I feel more sympathetic towards him. But in the movie, it's kind of like, yeah, he deserves everything he gets.
Well, look, he's weeping now, but that's all his craft. To be a mother.
Yo, fuck Joe too, man. Fuck Joe. He's some fucking bullshit ass. He's just taking advantage of these poor parents, man. That's so fucked up. Fuck Joe too. He's. Oh my god.
I'm leaving now.
Don't take it like that, Sonny. You spare some colour, me brother.
You hear him sing again back in the book in the prison. I don't know if we see him again. I think we do see him again around now.
Thanks, brother.
He does start to contemplate suicide. Let's see if he goes to the library.
In heaven preserve us.
I feel sick.
I never forget a faith, me God. That poisonous young swine that
Wow, okay, big difference here. So, in the book, he wants to find the best way to commit suicide, and best way to commit suicide, and he goes to the library, and then this happens in the library because he doesn't have a gun. So, oh my God! So again, youth versus old age is very prominent here. So we skipped that whole chapter. It just happens right here.
Oh no!
It's dim. Dang. Dim and Billy are now cops. That's kind of fucked up though. Like, no police. I really hope to God no police department would hire someone like Dim. I don't think he would pass any test.
I've been punished, I've been cured.
Na, 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 na. That's the exact same tune from The Shining.
It was them that went for me, brothers.
Like, Alex is like a garbage person, but he is very naive. Like, what does he expect? These two to take pity on him? They don't really discuss how long he was in prison. He was, in the book, he's supposed to be in prison for 2 years, which would make Dim and Billy of working age, like over 18. And when Alex gets out, he's exactly 18. I don't think he was he drowned in the book like this? I don't think so. I thought he was only beat up. But it was, yeah. It will rain really bad. Which is why he's still wet. That's crazy. This is drowning this dude. Fucking Dim, man. Wow, that is the main actor. That's not a stunt guy. Holy fuck. That's not a stunt guy. Shit. He was in there for a good minute. Ah, yep. The rain. We're back at home.
What else could that be?
Scientists cure. Scientists have cure for crime. Who the fuck is this?
I'll see who it is.
This guy doesn't exist in the book. Who the fuck is this? He's like got a bodyguard now?
Yes, what is it? Please.
He's just got a buff-ass bodyguard. Was he on a wheelchair in the book? I don't think he was on a wheelchair.
Frank, I think this young man needs some help.
Frank. F means for Frank, huh?
What's happened?
And it's Frank who has glasses, I'm pretty sure.
And would you believe it?
Isn't it your picture in the newspapers?
Yeah.
Didn't I see you on the video this
I was
morning?
about to say, he didn't recognize him right away.
Horrible new technique.
Yes, sir. That's exactly who I am. What I am, sir. A victim, sir.
And by God, you've been sent here by Providence. I'm distressed.
Poor
The police
boy.
are fond of bringing those.
Hey, you know what? You know what's missing? In the book, they find that word a Clockwork Orange in his writing. Yeah, because in the book they mentioned the Clockwork Orange was like, so he had written it, and there was a passage saying something about how the orange is like a natural thing, but the government wants to make it mechanical, something like that, where that's not something that's natural. So, but that didn't happen here. We never saw anything about Clockwork Orange in the movie. What is singing in the rain? That did not happen in the book about singing in the rain.
The most potent weapon imaginable.
But don't sing it. He'll find out who you are if you sing singing in the rain.
Governments be both, as you know, for a quieter life.
This is
That's why they
definitely.
must be led, sir. Driven, pushed.
This part did happen. I wonder. I don't know if he actually said it on the phone or if he explained it to Alex, but he does call his friends.
He'll be here.
Ah, you see? He's starting to recognize. In the book, he kind of recognized his face, and then he said something about Dim's name when he was mentioning the police officer, and that guy remembered Dim. And what else? Huh? What were the other clues? He asked about the telephone. He asked whether there's he's like, you don't have a phone in this house, and then the guy go F. Oh wow, that's how he recognizes here in the movie. At the book, that didn't happen. Or maybe he doesn't recognize yet, but it's just bringing back the PTSD. But yeah, he says something about Dim, and then he mentions the telephone, which they didn't have last time. And then he goes, why would you ask that? So it's interesting to see if that will happen here. But there was no singing in the rain part. And there was no this guy, this buff guy. That guy was not there anyway, as well.
Food, all right.
You see, he recognizes him now. In the book, he doesn't really recognize him until his friends take him away. He still has that doubt in his mind, like...
Try the wine.
He still has that doubt. Is this him? It must be. But right when they realize it could be him, they take him away. Whereas here, he is... This F guy was his... I don't know his last name. But he knows that he's the one who killed his wife. And he didn't even ask about his wife in the movie.
No, my health doesn't allow it.
No, thank you.
Victim of the modern age. Was it pneumonia in the book?
No,
Maybe you guys can tell me that.
Another victim of the modern age.
Yeah, he's another
You
victim of the
can
modern
be
age.
helped.
Yeah, when he says that
I
before,
saw
he
some
doesn't
friends
suspect
while you were
yet.
having your bath.
I think I want to trouble you any further, sir. I think I should be leaving.
No, my boy. No trouble at all.
So, okay, there's another difference here.
Let me fill your glass.
We'll see what he says. We'll see what happens. Because he should say that what does he get out of it? Because they ask him to do something, and he's going to ask what does he get out of it.
Ludwig van Beethoven.
Everybody knows
It's
Ludwig.
all right, thank you. And it just so happened that...
Reaction to music as you do to sex and violence.
No, Mrs. You see, it's not all music. It's just the ninth.
That's not true.
Beethoven's Ninth Symphony?
That's right.
In the book, it was all music.
Anymore at
He
all.
couldn't listen to any
When I hear
music.
the ninth, I get like this
Definitely the ninth, but
funny feeling.
it's all music. It's not
And then
just ninth. The
All I
ninth.
can think about is like any second something terrible is going to happen to me.
Oh shit! I was not expecting that. Something was in the wine. That's not what happened in the book. He wasn't poisoned, or he wasn't drugged. I don't think so. Was he?
I woke up.
They just brought him to a room. They just brought him to a warehouse, and then the guy said, "We'll be back," and they never came back.
All over me like an animal.
Ah, they're enjoying this. Yeah, because right before this happens in the book, the guy just now, not this guy, he asked him, "Did you do it?" And he basically confessed to killing this guy's wife, I think, and I think it made it like, yeah, it's cool to sacrifice him. He's a bad person anyway, and he deserves it. They don't show this. They don't show this in the book. It's just assumed that they know what's going on, which is obvious, but they don't show this at all. This is a crazy shot, by the way. They don't show that F guy enjoying this. Crazy.
Forever and ever and ever.
Oh, were they in a house? I thought they were in a like apartment building. That's crazy though. Oh man, that's crazy. It's interesting to see the parts they change.
I jumped on my brothers.
It's a lot more
and I
explicit,
fell
this
hard,
part.
But I did not snuff it. If I had snuffed it, I would not be here to tell what I told.
This is the second to final chapter in the book, and I think this is the end
to life after a
of the movie.
Black gap.
Because I read in the
What
book
might
that
have
they
been a million years.
that the author was kind of not satisfied with the movie not keeping that final chapter in. Okay, yeah. Speaking of the final chapter, I guess we'll talk about that after this, after the reaction. Yeah, so they get what they want at first, but then the minister of the interior will come. Oh yeah, the parents. In a way, it is their fault, and
When all's said and done.
I thought about this when I was reading too. It's like they feel like they're so detached. They don't care about their child, what he does. It's just like they let him do whatever he wants.
Good morning.
So complacent. Oh, the purple hair must be the style
Morning, missus.
of
How
this
you
of this world
Fine, fine.
for women.
May I?
What are we gonna do? Talk about my sex life?
I'm going to show you some slides, and you're going to tell me what you think about them. And yes.
This part is
You know what they
funny
mean?
Perhaps
because the
you're
psychiatrist
concerned about something?
is supposed to
No,
see
I'm
if
not concerned,
someone's
really, but,
brain is working
I've been having this
normally,
very nasty
but
dream.
in this
Very
case,
nasty. It's like, well, when I was
she's
all
checking to see if he's
smashed
back
up,
to
you know, and
normal, his violent
half
ways.
awake and unconscious like, I kept having this dream.
Isn't the
The
plumage
peacock.
beautiful?
I just say what the other person would say.
Yes.
Plumage beautiful.
Slightly different.
Yes, well, don't think about it too long. Just
He's
say
just
the first
supposed
thing
to.
that pops into your mind.
Yeah, slightly different. But there was a peacock.
Cabbages, knickers. It's not got a beak.
Good.
That's not what he says. In the book, he feels like he wants to rip all of the plumage out.
The boy you always...
For you, you're blockos.
Good. What do you want?
No time for the old in and out, love. I've just come to read the meter.
Good. You sold me a crummy watch. I want my money back.
You know what you can do with that watch? Stick it up your ass.
Good. You can do whatever you like with these.
You notice how the psychiatrist is saying good, like, oh,
Eggy
good,
Wax.
he's back to normal.
I would like
To smash
smash
him.
'em.
Yeah, that's the same.
pick them all up and throw out.
Just wait outside for a moment, would you, officer?
Yes, sir.
Oh, is the press not here? I feel like
My change of schedule has rather thrown you.
I feel like the press. I feel like the press was here when the minister came before in the book.
And now I've come down to see you personally, to see how you're getting along.
I've suffered the tortures of the damned, sir. Tortures of the damned.
Yes, I can appreciate that you have had an extremely Oh, look, let me help you with that, shall I? Deeply sorry.
Ah, look
We
at
tried
him
to help
opening his mouth.
We followed recommendations which were made to us that where it belongs.
You see though,
We want you to regard us as
if the fucking doctor
put you right.
didn't purposefully make him get fucked by the music, which he didn't need to do, music was not needed to make him sick.
And I think you
They
know
still
who
did
they
it.
are.
This wouldn't have happened.
People who wanted to use you for a political end. They thought
I don't remember if the music, the off remark by the doctor about the music was in the book, but
who has been howling for your blood.
I think it is, and I do think it is, and the fact that they made him
Safe from him now.
react to music is what all of this, why he's, the recovery didn't work basically.
Wrong to him. At least
If they didn't make him averse to music, he would have been okay. I think at least he wouldn't have. They couldn't have made him jump out of the window because of that.
Where is he now, sir?
We put him away where he can do
You see, arresting political
We
dissonance,
are looking after your interests.
just like the book.
We are interested in
Yeah, you don't want to be blamed.
We'll have no worries. We shall see to everything. A good job on a good
All they care about is staying in power.
What job and how much?
Because you are helping us.
Helping you, sir.
Fucking corrupt
We always
bastards.
help our friends, don't we?
This part is added, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Once
I
a
understand you're
criminal,
fond of music.
always a criminal.
I have arranged a little surprise for you.
Surprise?
One that I hope that you will like.
You're gonna
As
give him his
a,
records.
How shall we put it? As a symbol of our new understanding. An understanding between two friends.
They're just gonna. Oh, they gave him a new stereo. They're just gonna let him do his criminal shit. Fucking government bastards. The press does come. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Okay. So the movie ends here. Alright. Oh, he's imagining all of the things, all of the bad thing he's doing. Oh no. Oh no. This is he's imagining some filthy ass shit.
I was cured, all right.
Oh my god, that's how the movie ends? Oh my god, that's a fucking last shot. That's a fucking final shot if I've ever seen one. Malcolm McDowell, man, what else have you been in?
So I just saw the movie. Oh my god, that was something else. It's very weird watching the movie because you imagine it in your mind and you know it's gruesome and explicit, but then you watch it and it's like, it seems like it's over the top almost when you watch it, but it's not, because these things they're fairly accurate to what happens in the movie. Anyway, before I get into the differences, that's Malcolm McDowell. I've seen him, I just looked him up right after because I was like, who's this actor? I've never seen him in anything, and I realized, oh my god, his dude is literally in everything. Yeah. Alright, so the first difference I noticed was the Britva. Now, in the book, Alex's main weapon of choice is the knife, the Britva, the razor. Okay? But in the movie, he has the stick, the walking stick, which is actually a knife when he pulls it out of the stick, right? So that difference there is, I think it's a practical one. it'd be one, dangerous and weird if he's going around, using the knife to fight everyone. It would be a lot more bloody, and it makes more sense to have a stick that he fights with, except for when he cuts Georgie's hand, he takes out the knife, actually. So that was the first difference I noticed. The second difference I noticed was, in the book, when he goes to the record store, he seduces he basically invites these young girls. He's 15, but he invites these like 10-year-old girls to his apartment, and he drugs them and rapes them in the book. And of course, that would be fucked up to show, in a movie, and no way, that, of course, I understand. So they made it so they're teenagers, same age as him, and it wasn't a rape. He just has a threesome with the two girls. But it's funny because you don't see him giving them drugs either, but everything is in fast forward. And also, it's funny because in the movie, he has sex with them, and then the girls start to wear their clothes again, and then he forces them back onto the bed, and that happens multiple times. So it's almost we see his lust is just unquenchable, and it's still, of course, it's always just weird to watch people, on screen doing that sort of thing. So that was this big difference, and I think it's a necessary difference. Killing the cat lady. So when he goes to jail in the book, and it's similar here in this movie, and it's very similar to the order of events. It's almost exactly the same, except in the book, the cats actually attack him as well with the lady. So it seems almost like way over the top, where it's a very chaotic scene, and while he's trying to get away from this old lady who's trying to attack him, and the cats are also attacking him, right? And the second difference, the main difference, I think, is in the book, the bust that we see the lady use in the movie is what he uses to kill the lady, hit her in the head. But in this movie, he uses the sculpture of the penis, right? The phallic sculpture. That's what he smashes basically into her face, into her mouth. And so that is a difference as well. It's not a big difference. It doesn't really change the story in any sort of way. Dim is still the one that hits him over the head when he tries to get out and escape, and his droogs betray him. But in the book, Dim uses his chain and hits him in the face, whereas, if I'm not mistaken, and here in the movie, they use the milk bottle. Yeah, it makes more sense, I think, visually, to use the milk. So the prison. So the things that happen in the prison, a lot of the differences we see happens in the prison. There's still the conversations with the chaplain. That still happens. But the first thing I noticed is in the book, we never see him being entered into the prison, and there's not that scene of him stripping and with this chocolate bar, he has to give away all his things. That doesn't really happen. I think that's played, one, for comedic effect, and two, just I think it makes more sense to put it in the movie, but not really in the book. And it's a placeholder because in the book, there's another thing that happens where the first night he gets there, he gets into a cell, and in the cell, it's very cramped, and there's 3 people. It's a cell for 3, but there's 6 people in the cell, so they have to vie for who sleeps on the bed and who sleeps on the floor, and then a 7th person gets into the cell. And if I'm not mistaken, that 7th person is someone who takes a liking to Alex and tries to molest him in the middle of the night, if I'm not mistaken, and he basically beats that guy up, and then the whole jail, the other 6 people in the cell with him all beat that guy up until that guy dies, where Alex gives the final blow. That doesn't happen in the movie. We see that guy being referenced in the church with the guy giving the kisses to Alex. So that guy is referenced, but that whole sequence of events doesn't happen. And that also solidifies him as being very violent still. Well, even though he's in jail, he hasn't reformed in the book. It helps him be selected as part of basically the experiment, the reform experiment. The other thing that's different that I kind of noticed late in the movie was they do play Beethoven's Ninth while he's being brainwashed and forced to watch all those horrible movies with the vitamins in him. It's kind of to change his brain chemistry, right? Basically to make him, give him an aversion to violence and sex, and also music. But in the movie, the music aversion is only for Beethoven's Ninth, because they keep playing Beethoven's Ninth during the brainwashing scenes. But in the book, even though they do play Beethoven's Ninth, he has an aversion to all music. He cannot listen to any other music in the book. And it's also in the book that he has a whole collection of music. He just loves classical music, and even though his favorite is still Beethoven's Ninth. And also, this ties into when he gets home from prison, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that as well right after this, but he has a snake. And we see him, he has a snake in the beginning of the movie as well. And the snake was the one that was basically, the snake dies, I think, in the movie, and he was given away. And that's what he was sad about. But in the book, it was his sound system and records that he had, his collection of records that were sold to pay for the starving cats that were left behind after he murdered the cat lady. So that was an interesting difference there as well. Speaking of going home and meeting his parents, in the book, when he gets home to his apartment and he meets that Joe guy, who's the guy living in his room now, that still happens in the book, but his parents in the movie already knew he was coming back, or figured that he was coming back because they read it in the paper that morning that he was released. But in the book, they didn't know. They hadn't read the paper yet. He was released in the morning and he went straight home, and they were all very surprised to see him at home. But other than that, there was not really much difference. They were still unprepared either way, and it still led to him, guilt-tripping his parents before leaving on his own. So after he leaves from his parents' place, he does get depressed. He has nowhere to go, and he does think of killing himself. I think he mentions in the book that because he doesn't have a gun, he has to figure out another way to kill himself, but he doesn't know how. In the movie, he kind of seems like he's just gonna jump off a bridge, but he doesn't go through with it when the drunk guy recognizes his face. But in the book, he goes to the library to read about the best way to kill himself with the least amount of pain as possible, because he cannot do anything violent to himself because he has an aversion to violence. So he has to figure out the painless, most non-violent way of killing himself. That's why he goes to the library. But when he goes to the library, he does get attacked by old people the same way he does in the movie, but it happens in a library, and it doesn't happen under the bridge. But it's still a bunch of old people attacking him, and he still cannot get away because even though he's young and he knows that if he could take on all of them, he couldn't because he has no choice, because he has been, experimented on. So basically that whole scene, that whole chapter of him going to the library, that is excluded completely from the movie. After that, we do see Dim and Billy becoming now police officers and arresting him, and actually they're just going to go beat him up. Now, in the book, they don't try to drown him like that. They beat him up, but it doesn't really make too big of a difference on the story as a whole. But they do say sort of the same things. Now, after that, he wants to go home, but he can't because he has no home. His parents kicked him out. But he does feel like he wants to go home, and then he sees the sign of Alexander's house, the political dissident, or dissenter, and it says home there, so he goes there, and when he gets there, he knocks on the door. Alexander is the one who answers the door, and he is not in a wheelchair, and he doesn't have a bodyguard. So, in the movie, they make him even more sort of like, because they can't really go in too much into his mind state. In the book, their conversations are much more extended, and we can understand his philosophy, and we understand he's a political dissident. But he is also very, very depressed and glum. He's never gotten over his wife's death. We sort of see that also here in the movie. But here in the movie, it is also sort of reflected by his physical state. In the movie, he's in a wheelchair, and he needs that guy to do everything for him, that big, strong guy, either for protection or to carry him around and do his chores, because his wife always did that for him. And now he doesn't have his wife, but he still wants to do his political writing. Okay. Now, another thing that's connected to that is in the movie, what makes Alexander recognize Alex as his wife's attacker and murderer is him singing in the rain. in the book, that's not what happens. There is no singing in the rain. In the book, what happens is through their conversations throughout, there's these little things that kind of hint and make him reflect back to his memories that Alex might be that guy. They're still wearing masks, right? But Alex says, one, he mentions the telephone. He says, you don't have a telephone. And F. Alexander says, I do have a telephone. Why would you think that? So that was the first signal. Second, he kind of recognized his face. Third, he mentions Dim. And where else did he hear Dim? Well, it was during the attack. So it was all those little things that he was still piecing it all together. And even when he leaves the house, and we don't really see F. Alexander in that book after that anymore, after seeing him in that house, different from the movie, he's like putting the pieces together. And it was only until when they brought him to the apartment that F. Alexander's colleagues, his fellow political mates, they ask Alex, is he the guy? And Alex does admit to it, which I think we don't know it yet at the time, but it kind of gives them the extra push to do what they do to him at the end, right before he jumps. The other difference is, like I mentioned earlier, in the movie, F. Alexander does recognize who Alex is as soon as he singing in the rain in the bathroom. And he is very, very much suspicious of him, but he still follows through anyway, even though knowing that it's him. But in the book, he does mention if he ever finds the guy who kills his wife, he will not think of anything. He will go ahead and murder that guy immediately. Which shows that in the book, he never really puts it all together until he leaves that home. Now, like I said, in the book, he's averse to all music, but yes, it was still Beethoven's Ninth that was playing that gets him to jump out of the upper story floor. Now, in the movie, they're very explicit about who was doing that to him right at that moment. They showed F. Alexander and his colleagues playing the music from downstairs in the big stereos, forcing Alex to jump off. Where in the book, we don't really know who's doing it to him, even though we have our suspicions that it's most likely the political dissenters. But it's not explicitly stated until the Minister of the Interior meets Alex again at the hospital. And he mentions that they have already arrested F. Alexander. Another slight difference is in the hospital. After he jumps, now he goes to the hospital and the Minister of Interior still comes and offers him, his participation to cover things up, basically, for their own well-being. Both of them, their mutual understanding. And this also leads to the political dissenters going to prison, basically, because in a way, they were trying to help Alex, well, not really Alex, but people who would be like Alex in the future by showing that Alex is messed up from this Ludovico technique. But their motivation is really to put this autocratic government out of power. And that obviously doesn't happen because they get arrested. But in that hospital scene, there is one thing that is different from the book and the film. And that is when the psychiatrist came and gave him that test, where in the book it's just images. And he just says what he feels like when those images come up. And two of them were the peacock and the nest with the eggs. That happened in the movie too, but in the movie, it slightly changed where Alex has to say the things that someone in that picture would say. You guys saw it in the movie as well, which is slightly different, but it's still almost the same thing. He did say kind of the same thing for the eggs in the nest. He wants to smash them. But for the peacock, in the book, he says he wants to rip apart all of the plumage, where it's different in the movie, I'm pretty sure. And the final two things that I want to talk about the difference is, one, A Clockwork Orange, all right? A Clockwork Orange was never mentioned once in the movie. That term just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's just a reference to the book, basically. The book is A Clockwork Orange. The movie is Clockwork Orange, but no mention of Clockwork Orange, okay? Now, in the book, A Clockwork Orange is something written by F. Alexander, the political dissenter, because when they first go to his house and murder his wife. They stole some of his writing, his manuscript, ripped it apart, but he did, right before he did it, he did read a passage. And in that passage, I'll read it to you right now. Then I look at its top sheet, and there was a name, A Clockwork Orange. The attempt to impose upon a man, a creature of growth and capable of sweetness, to ooze juicily at the last round the bearded lips of God. To attempt to impose, I say, laws and conditions appropriate to a mechanical creation. Against this I raise my sword pen. Now, the interpretation of that passage has been discussed, I think, for a long time. But in my viewing of it, it kind of means that this whole Clockwork Orange book kind of a metaphor to show what is meant by that passage, right? So it says that life is like the orange, okay? It's organic. It is not meant to be controlled, right? Like a machine, like clockwork, right? So when you try to impose these laws, strict laws and regulations on this, organism created by God, now you're turning it into no longer an organism, but just a cog in the machine. And that's what I take that passage from this manuscript called The Clockwork Orange to be. And this was mentioned in the book. You kind of see it there, the theme, right at the beginning, actually, in the early chapters. But this is never mentioned in the movie. Now, what does that mean? Does it matter? Because the movie and the book, through its course of events, kind of addresses this issue. Does Alex still continue to be a man or a person when he has undergone the Ludovico technique and he can no longer choose to be violent, no longer choose to listen to music, no longer choose to copulate? Because he has been taken away his freedom of choice, does he remain to be a human being? And is it an ethical thing to do? Now we'll talk about that right after this. And what is this? The final difference between the book and the movie. And that is the ending. The ending of the movie is actually the penultimate chapter of the book. There is a whole chapter that happens after the ending of the movie. So let me summarize that for you. So at the beginning of chapter 21, because of his new relationship with the government, Alex has a job in the daytime and he gets paid fairly well. He has means to support himself. But at night, he is still going out with his 3 new droogs. So he has a new gang with new people. They seem to be almost exactly like his old gang, just different people. Now they do go out and they start to do their usual business. But Alex mentions now he's 18. It's been about more than 2 years since he was arrested. And they ask Alex to spend some money. And this is where it starts. He says, I don't really want to spend some money on this. And then they kind of say the same things he said earlier in the movie, where he said, what's the deal with the money? We can get money, steal it from anyone. And he says, well, if I earn that money, I kind of want to save my money. I don't want to spend it on useless things, which was weird to his new droogs. And after that, he starts to get bored. He doesn't want to go out and drink anymore and do drugs anymore. He just, for the first time ever, he decides, you know what, I'm just going to go home and rest today. I'm not going to go participate in this criminal stuff. And he says goodbye to his fellow gangmates, implying that he will probably never go out with them again. He just doesn't feel like he wants to do it anymore. And on the way home, he meets Pete. Now, in the movie and in the book, Dim, we know what happens to him. He becomes a police officer. But we never see Pete and George ever again in the movie. But in the book, we learn while he's in prison that George died while going out on one of their criminal sprees. And number 2, we learn what happens to Pete during chapter 21. Pete, who is 2 years older than Alex, but at 20 years old, he's already married. And we also meet Pete's wife. And Pete, he no longer speaks in Nadsat. He speaks regular English. He recognizes Alex and is very kind to Alex and introduces Alex to his wife. and they have a small chit chat, and they kind of laugh off the fact that Alex is still being young, a teenager, but it's kind of shown that Alex is also changing and he no longer wants to be a youth anymore. He's now becoming an adult, maturing right in front of our eyes. And then Alex decides that he does not want to do this childish criminal thing anymore. He wants to find a girl, get married, and live the rest of his life. Basically, live a normal life, complacent, and be like his parents. Nothing special. He's already making money because he has the special relationship with the government, and that's it. And that's how the book ends. The book ends with Alex truly reformed, not by any sort of technique, or not even by prison, but he reformed because he grew up. He just aged out of criminality. So, what does that mean? What does that mean in terms of the conflicts that we see in this story? Youth versus old age, pleasure versus complacency, and the ultimate one, free will versus the common good. Let's move on to our next part, analysis and interpretation. Although the words "A Clockwork Orange" was never mentioned in the movie, the main idea was still there. Is it ethical to take away someone's freedom of choice? In my point of view, it seems to be the minority report of situations. Is someone guilty of a crime if you know they will commit it, but they're never given the chance to actually perform the act? To me, for the question posed, it is unethical to take away someone's freedom of choice, and it does dehumanize them. But let's put the situation into the context of the story's narrative. Let's take it one step further. Is it ethical to take away someone's freedom of choice if it's for the safety and common good of the society? There is no doubt that Alex will steal, will rape, assault, and torture if the Ludovico technique was not performed on him. Yes, to take away his freedom of choice dehumanizes him, but it humanizes the community around him by beridding it of his violence. So to me, in my perspective, it is a justified means to an end. But there is another problem. Knowing that the government and the powers that be are authoritarian in nature, taking away the basic human right of choice would only be the first step towards total control, chipping away choice-making from a person until there is no more choices to make. It's a lobotomy of freedom. In the book and in the movie, the government took credit for the reverse reforming, fixing the mistake they made in Alex, that they failed to ethically reform as a means for political points and used it as an excuse to arrest their political dissenters. The only reason they want to clear the prisons in the first place is to replace its violent inmates with political dissenters. So, while the Ludovico technique may be worthwhile on its own, in context, I cannot support this technique, as I still have hope that humanity as a whole will overcome the minority of evils within it, and we cannot risk that just to let an authoritarian regime in power and control its people. Let's take it into context of our own contemporary world. With insurmountable debt, systemic racism and xenophobia, low wages, and a lifelong service to the powers that be, is this not society basically performing the Ludovico technique on all of us in one form or another? In A Clockwork Orange, the conflict of youth and adulthood is prominent in this story, both victims of society as a whole, but most adults knowingly participate in it because they are unbothered, asleep by it. The elders, like the ones that attacked Alex, see the youth as a source of their threat to their own lives, when in fact it is the machine they live in that has trapped them in a place full of suffering and violence. The only people that are bothered, F. Alexander and his colleagues, are arrested and punished for fighting against the powers that be. And besides them, it is the youth that have any yarbles to even challenge laws and authority, even though it is criminal and unethical in nature, of course. Despite this, they are not seen as the true opposition of the ruling class. It is people like F. Alexander and his sword pen that are the real threat to the status quo. In a way, it reflects what is happening today in our own society. So now let's go back to the omission of chapter 21. In the movie, in a way, evil wins. We end the film with the government giving Alex the pass to do as he pleases once again. He doesn't go back to jail. Alex doesn't change, and the chaos continues. I can't help but think the message here is, as long as there is free will in this world, there will always be people who choose to commit the most atrocious monstrosities upon others, and that people never ultimately change. But in the novel, the dichotomy between youth and adulthood is highlighted in another manner, which is more uplifting, but not by much. And yes, at least in the book, unlike in the movie, Alex does change. But the change to leave behind his life of crime is not spurred by any critical self-reflection on his past actions. It is merely an impulsive feeling, just another thing he wants to do that he feels will bring him the most pleasure in life at that moment. Pleasure now in the mundane instead of the violence. Not determined by a maturing mind, just the biological impulse of aging, happening undeniably right after he turns 18, right on time of being an adult. Just like clockwork. So before I end this video, I'll just read a passage, I think one of the better passages in the book. It was said by the chaplain when he learned that Alex was going to undergo the Ludovico technique, and he posed this question. It may not be nice to be good, little 6655321. It may be horrible to be good, and when I say to you I realize how self-contradictory that sounds, I know I shall have many sleepless nights about this. What does God want? Does God want goodness, or does he want the choice of goodness? Is a man who chooses the bad perhaps in some way better than the man who has the good imposed upon him? Deep and hard questions, little 6655321.
Hey guys, so that was my first From Page to Screen episode for the Clockwork Orange. Right now I'm reading Hill House, and so I probably will do one of that after I do the reactions to those episodes, and I might even do some of books I've already read with movies that I've already seen, you know, like Blade Runner and some other ones. So we'll just see. It depends how much time is available to me. If you like the video, go ahead and like. I know that my, you know, editing and camera and you know, just the whole episode in general, it's not like super high quality produced. It's just me here with my phone and my green screen. You can see here the green screen. I didn't even put it away yet. So anyway, yeah, if you like the video, go ahead and like. If you want to give suggestions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe as well. It will help the channel a lot, and I hope to see you with the next video. And remember, easy does it.